Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockrell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and welcome, Lee. How are you doing?
Great. Nice here in Florida today. 72 degrees and sunny.
I think that's the story from Florida every day.
That's why we live here.
Now, Lee, there is a pizza place in my hometown that has outstanding pizza. It's easily some of the best pizza that you will find anywhere, but they're notorious for awful service. I even heard someone joke recently that they got a slice of pizza at this pizza place and the person serving them actually smiled. But their pizza is so good that people still go. But what is the danger of using your product as your only competitive advantage?
Well, I think when you don't have the balance, you always risk somebody else coming into the marketplace with an equally good product or even better product, and then also giving that other piece, which is customer service and paying attention to the customer and making it a great environment and a nice decor and a place people want to go. So, it doesn't cost anything to give good service, so I don't know why they're not paying attention to that, to get people to be nicer to their customers and to serve them so that it's just a danger product only. Somebody else can come in and scoop you. So that's what I think about all the time. Do you have the real balance you need in your business? There's a lot to the business. You got to have your cost structure right. You got to have the product right, the shipping right, and not be out of inventory, and give good service, and make sure accounts payables and receivables are also taking good care of the customer and being efficient, effective. I think it's the difference between you can get away with that for a long time. And I think a lot of companies did. When you think about like Sears, remember Sears? They were just went along and didn't really have any competition back when I was growing up. And then all of a sudden, Walmart got kicked cooking, and then Target came in, and then Amazon, and no longer did they have any marketplace because they really didn't provide the whole ball of wax of what people were looking for. And there are many examples of that, businesses that have come and gone who were just great at one time, and then all of a sudden they slipped away because around the corner, you never know when that competitor is going to show up and do a better job than you do. Yeah.
From the aspect of delivering excellent customer service, how would you handle it if you're serving one customer and another customer walks in?
Oh, I think, I tell people you don't have to immediately get to the customer, but at least you can wave to them, you can glance at them, you can send the message that I know you're there and I'll be right over. Or if you're close enough, you can say I'll be right with you. But if you're at the other end of the store, you can certainly catch their eye and acknowledge they're there. I think that's half the battle. People just want to know they're not being ignored, and just send a signal to them, I'll be with you in a second. And you can do that with your hands or your eyes or yell across the room. But people want to be acknowledged, and more people want. You can't, sometimes we think, well, it was only 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a long time when you walk into a store and nobody says a word. Nobody says anything to you. They are chatting with each other, or they're maybe taking care of a customer. But it's easy to have that 1 or 2 second glance over there so they know they're there. So what I would do is make sure everybody, because if you don't acknowledge them, you have this risk of them turning around and walking out the door. And just because you got that few seconds to lock them in. And, I was talking to somebody years ago. They said even when you have somebody working the door, up at the door, when you make eye contact with a customer walking into your business, the chances of them actually even stealing anything from you or leaving is much lower once you make human contact, because they already feel more committed at that point. So there's a rationale to making sure you acknowledge the customer just as quick as you can.
I want to stay on customer service for a little bit longer. I live in a small tourist town, and many people who shop in the shops of this town, they're visiting for the first time, or they're eating at a restaurant for the first time. Why should these customers be treated like regulars?
Well, that's funny. A small community like that, if I was that small community and I was a chamber of commerce, or if I was in business there, I'd get all the business people together and I'd create some kind of association and tell them we want to deliver service at a high level, no matter where the visitor comes from. When they come into my store, when they stop to get gasoline down the road, I want you to make sure they have an outstanding visit so that we get a reputation as this tourist destination where people go, wow, that's really different than any place else. And it's kind of like a Disney World. We want it to be the same all over Disney World. And I think some small communities could work harder at making sure the whole community delivers well, from the hotel they check into to the bed and breakfast to getting gasoline to going on a tour to having a glass of wine, so that the whole town gets this reputation for it being special and different from other tourist destinations. There's a lot of tourist destinations. You can go anywhere. And one thing you do is when you achieve that kind of consistency and reputation for great service at every level, no matter who you run into, kind of that friendly place and where they take care of you, you get more repeat business. People will say, hey, why don't we go back there next weekend? Or why don't we go back there next summer? People go back to places where they're treated right. My wife and we rent a house in Carmel, California, and we love it there, and everybody treats really well there. And this will be the third year we've rented a house there. We could easily go rent a house some other place, but we like it. We were treated well there. We know the area. They have good products, good service, and so you get more repeat business. And whether you're a Disney World or whether you're a community, and if I was in a community like that, I'd go to work trying to get everybody to think about this so that the community gets the reputation for being a great spot, not just a few operations within the community. And the word will get out. We all go back to those places that we love, where we're treated right. So that would even be a way to even make it stronger as a tourist attraction and get more business.
Yeah, everybody has a choice. Like you said, they have a choice whether they're going to rent a house here or eat at that restaurant. And I can see as a community that steps up to serve no matter where they go, that would be a real attraction. You mentioned Carmel, California. Do any other cities come to mind that you visit and think, wow, everywhere I went, I had a pleasant time?
Yeah, well, I would say we've rented houses there been going there since 1979, that just shows you we've gone almost every year. We haven't rented a house every year, but we've gone there on vacation almost every year since 1979 because the place is so appealing. And I don't think it's a place where I relax the most. I love the weather. I like to be there in June and July when it's foggy because we live in Florida and it's hot here. And I love to get up, put a sweater on in the morning, go up and have a coffee, and the fog rolling in, and then it clears up in the afternoon. And I think the warmest it gets is like 65 degrees, which is like perfect. And so there's a lot going on there for us. I mean, we like, there's a few other places we like, but we like to go back to Paris. We live there, and, we like to go back there. And everybody has that special place they like to go. If you ask any family, there's that one place, the same place people go skiing every year. I know my grandchildren and their mom and dad go to Breckenridge every year. They always go back to the same place, and they like it there. And you just got to say that people spend a lot of money. You go skiing, you take a family of 5, and then they take friends with them, and they're there for a week. And I'm sure Breckenridge would be happy that they keep coming back because that's just how you build the business. And there's a lot of places you can go skiing, but that's where they've settled in on, and they've felt good there and comfortable there. And there is something to knowing the place. There's nothing like getting back to Carmel. I know exactly where I go for coffee. I know exactly the restaurants we're going to eat in. I know, once you get to know a place, people love to have familiarity. I mean, and I think an organization, I was working with another community where we're trying to get the whole community to be kind of like a Disney World. It's a resort area. And where the town like you're in, maybe they put together a training program for everybody that's in the business there that takes care of tourists. And once you pass the training, you get a gold star on your window where the tourists start to know that this is a special place. And that's just, there needs to be more focus on how do we bring the whole community together. So that's, so you have those. And I'm sure you do. You probably now have people who come back over and over, or they came there as kids and then their parents brought them. And just like Disney, we're working with third generation now. Mom and dad and the grandparents and the kids, and it's all remembering when they were coming somewhere, and people like to come back and experience that. So, yeah.
Well, Lee, I have another listener question. This has been a fun segment to do when we get these listener questions. Ryan Stevenson says that he has felt a generational shift with how people communicate. He feels younger people want to communicate electronically, but we're losing the benefit of personal interaction. So Ryan would like to know if there's an appropriate balance when managing communication.
Well, I think there is. I think, we see it with our grandchildren too. They love to communicate with their devices, and they're good communicators when you want them to be. I mean, if they have to do something or have to give a speech or they have to when they come to our house and we're having a cocktail party or a dinner party, they can engage with our guests. But I would say that for kids in school today, I think, and we've tried to focus on our own grandson and granddaughter and other grandson to make sure that they are getting a lot of exposure to people, adults, being around people, being about where they have to sit at the dinner table with 12 people and talk about current events and know what's going on and not sit there and be bashful and wish they could get under the table and get away from everybody. And I've seen it with my grandchildren. They're very conversations with people, and that's something parents need to be paying attention to also, because at the end of the day, we all, I communicate with texting, and a lady texted me from the UK and wanted one of my books for her boyfriend for his birthday. And I texted her back and I said, okay, let's go from here. Let's start communicating with email. So, because I watch that carefully, I'll get it quicker from you. And then if we may move to a telephone conversation, if I want to get to know her better and understand what the possibilities of doing more business in the UK are. And then maybe one day I'll meet her face to face. I mean, I think you got to pick the place where the communication you use is appropriate. I don't send my wife a text if I want to tell her I love her. I tell her to her face. It's much more productive. And I think anybody, face-to-face conversations are still going to always be the best way. There's no miscommunication. People can see the look on your face. They can see the energy. They can, you just express. It's even like a book. When I was working on the books, a writer I work with, he was saying, Lee, you can't write the way you speak because nobody's there to see the emotion, to see the look on your face, for you to clarify what you're trying to say. And I think we've got to be careful that we use the right communication tool. Certainly in business today, if you can talk to the customer, you got a better chance of hanging on to them. It's easy to walk away from a electronic transmission. It's just easy not to answer it. It's easy to misunderstand it. So I'd say communication, we want clarity, and clarity is best when you're face-to-face with somebody. There's a lot of misunderstandings through email and through texting, and you don't want misunderstandings with customers particularly. You want to, instead of texting a customer back, if you got their phone number, pick up the phone and call them. You'll probably have them for the rest of your life as a customer because they'll be so impressed because nobody else does that. And even at Disney today, when a customer has a problem and sends us an email, we don't email them back and we don't write them back. We get the phone and we call them. We have 45 people at Disney who call the customers back and have a conversation with them so we can resolve the problem and understand what it is instead of writing emails back and forth to each other, which are sometimes not understood or misunderstood. And that's how I would think about it. They're all good, but use them in the right place.
Well, we want listeners to give us a question. If you have something in mind that you would like Lee to answer, it can be about business, leadership, customer service, management. Just reach out. You can send your question to me, Jody, at jodymayberry.com, and I will be able to ask the question with Lee when he doesn't know it's coming. Or you can send your question directly to Lee at leecockrell.com. And if you do enjoy this show, we would appreciate a rating and review if you listen on iTunes or however you listen to it. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. And thank you for listening to Creating Disney Magic. Now you can go out and create magic in your organization.